Welcome to the Unlist. Never thought I'd be making a video about this particular topic, but apparently with the behavior of people these days on the internet, it's necessary to cover this ground. And that is opinions. Okay, now I'm going to paraphrase as best I can, so I just point you to use Google or grab a paper dictionary and look up the word opinion. But clearly, some of y'all don't understand what an opinion is. You neither know how to give an opinion, nor do you understand how to process an opinion once you see one before you. And some of you may not even understand what an opinion actually is, okay? The concept of it. And it causes a lot of heartache. It causes a lot of damage to people and places and things. It causes folks to undergo undue trauma and hardship from others, right? And it's like, yeah, on one hand, I understand that freedom of speech is not necessarily protection from consequence. We all know this, fuck around and find out, as they say. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. We understand that when you put something out there, right, even if it's just something as dumb as I like cheese, someone could very much literally just punch you in the face, physically punch you in the face for stating that you like cheese. I understand that. We are still animals at the end of the day, okay? We are not 100% in control. Sometimes we have impulses, we have emotional reactions, instinct bites us in the ass. I get it. I don't expect everyone to behave like Vulcans and not have emotions, but I like to think that most of us do understand what it means to try and live in a society. That right there is a meme. In a society, we can make this as meta as you want. We can fill this full of internet irony, full of Reddit and 4chan memes. We can go nuts with it. But I think you understand what I'm trying to say here, is that a lot of people's behavior is unhinged and toxic and damaging over something they probably don't understand the concept of, and therefore don't know how to process and don't know how to give. And I have done countless videos on behavior in the online fragrance community. So one could even say that I am talking until I am proverbially blue in the face, right? I am talking until I'm blue in the face, and maybe it's a fool's errand. Maybe I am wasting time, but I just feel like it needs to be said because people don't seem to understand opinions, how to handle them, how to give them. And I'm watching Rome burn while Nero plays the fiddle over the dumbest stuff, the most inconsequential things, when there are wars and famines. And yes, I'm taking it there, so shut the fuck up. I'm taking it there. There are wars and famines. People are dying in the street, homeless, addicted to drugs, you name it, right? And then you've got folks going out there doxing people and harassing people and causing as much harm as they possibly can, tooth and nail, rending with their claws and drawing blood because someone likes or dislikes something inconsequential as perfume. I dislike this perfume. Okay, it's time to burn their house down and murder them and pour salt on the ground and parade their corpses like we're in the Middle Ages, hang them from the stockades like the rat catchers from House of the Dragon, right? Let's go nuts. Let's go absolutely fucking crazy because this bottle of smelly water, someone said they didn't like it, right? Let's foam at the mouth, okay? Let's helter skelter. And I'm just like, what do you people do for a living, right? What do you do for a living? What is it you do? What are your hobbies? Where do you live? I want to know what kind of environment, what kind of relationships, what sort of brain chemistry do you need to have, borderlining on potential mental illness, that you feel like you need to do something like that over something like smelly water, right? Or anything. Chevy versus Ford, Apple versus PC. I can do this all day, right? I can do this all day. But opinions, guys, opinions. And one of the things that made me really realize that this is a video that needs to be made, unfortunately, people need to watch, is it's me once again holding the mirror up to the fragrance community and telling you to step the fuck back. Step the fuck back and look at yourself and ask yourself, why am I like this? Why am I like this? And what the fuck am I doing? Right? It is alcohol and chemicals and a little bit of oils mixed together in a bottle with a sprayer on it. And here I am looting and burning and destroying the world, right? Salting the earth. And it's like, for what? Because someone doesn't like this smell or likes this other smell that I don't like or whatever. Or someone who has a bit of a reputation, right? Someone that's published books or something. Someone whose opinion, which we're going to cover what an opinion is. Apparently you guys don't know what an opinion is, but someone with a bit of credentials gives an opinion that is like your antithesis. It defies every notion of your being, and you just feel like you need to go grab the sword. Like I said before, you defend the honor of an inanimate object. And literally, when people say to you that someone giving their opinion about a product to them is positive, whether it's a negative opinion or a glowing opinion, that they're just happy that people bother at all, and you interpret that as let's go to war. It's like you literally have the thing you're defending or the person you're defending telling you not to, that they're happy, they're okay with this outcome, and yet you still want to kick the tires and light the fires and draw blood like some kind of hooligan, right? And I'm just like, I don't understand. Again, it's like, why are you like this? Okay? It's not necessary. So, I'm going to paraphrase here. You can look up opinion on Google or paper dictionary if you have actual books. Some of you, I feel like, some of you would do well to actually read a physical book, I think, right? Aside from the normal getting some sun and touching some grass, right? Having a conversation with someone in person, changing your underwear, taking a shower, crawling out of your basement, you know, eating some actual food, leave the Doritos alone and the pizza rolls and the Mountain Dew cans alone. Get off the Warcraft, all right? And just go outside, be a part of the human race, even though the human race is not always pretty. Not always pretty. Just go outside, be a part of something. And then along that process of rehabilitating your life, you know, clean your house, vacuum your rugs, do your laundry, okay? Read a fucking book. And then take a step back and go, why am I like this? But an opinion is basically an observation or a judgment, not always given, okay? Not always given with factual backing, okay? It's just someone stating an observation or a judgment on something, sometimes based purely on feeling. There's not always factual backing of a statement of this type. And it can also represent a collective mindset of a group regarding an object or person. So it can be an individual, it can be a composite of a group, it can be you know, an aggregate, but it's a statement of observation or judgment of something by an individual or by groups, not always based in fact. There are types of opinions that are considered factual, like, for example, professional opinions, opinions given by lawyers and doctors. Those tend to have factual backing. In fact, legally they require factual backing. So if you get a legal opinion or a second opinion from a doctor, those do need qualifications. But those are specific contexts. Most opinions are as is, like when you buy from the Goodwill or the Salvation Army. You're buying secondhand goods. You're getting something for free even. So no warranties either expressed or implied. It's someone saying, I like cheese. Whether you punch them in the face because they state that they like cheese. You know, again, freedom of speech is not freedom from consequence. I understand that. But my point is, that's an opinion. When someone says something in regard to something else when they make an observation or a judgment about something, whether it's backed up or justified or validated or not, right? If it is, then it's probably professional opinion. If it's not, then it's just an opinion. And opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, and they all tend to stink. Okay, you've heard that a billion times. I don't need to tell you. So, when someone is published, a lot of people tend to put more weight behind their opinion. But there's a double-edged sword. And the double-edged sword is that when someone is published, when they are respected, that can sometimes gas them up and make them feel like their opinion might matter more than yours, or this person's over there, or that person's over there. And that kind of ego, right, can generate hubris. And if you don't know what hubris is, once again, I direct you to the dictionary, go read a book, go change your underwear, take a shower, go outside, blah, 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 blah. So, when someone sometimes gets a bit full of themselves, and they may not be consciously aware of that, because not everyone is 100% self-aware at all times, right? We all get caught in the moment too. We all get caught in the moment, but sometimes when a person is gassed up because they've published multiple books, or they've had blogs, or they are YouTube celebrities with millions of followers, or they have their own product lines, they've gotten into a given industry, the automotive industry, the perfume industry, the video game industry, whatever. So they have a lot of people that corroborate them. The confirmation bias, remember I made a video about that. They have confirmation bias that helps to gas them up. And thus, when they say, I like something, or I dislike something, it echoes of authority, even though it isn't really. It's authority granted by the readership, by the viewership if we're talking YouTube. It's authority granted to this person because of their following, because the trust they have with others due to their published nature. And therefore, sometimes when they say something, positive or negative, it can make or break whatever it is they are assessing. I have seen that timeless amounts. So, like restaurants, for example, and you've got these TikTok food critics, and the TikTok food critics go to the restaurants and eat there one time and say how great the restaurant is. And suddenly everyone drives like 4 hours away to go to this restaurant because their favorite TikTok or YouTube food critic ate at this place. So now they've all got to eat there too. So the place gets mobbed. And then sometimes hype is never eternal. So sometimes they get a whole bunch of money all at once, or they get overwhelmed. The quality suffers because they're forced to pump out more quantity than they're capable of. They speed along to satisfy demand. So then all the negative reviews come in. Oh, this is crap. This doesn't taste anything like what the reviewer said it was. And then all, just as quickly as it came, it's gone again. And now the business has fallen off because all the user reviews chime in negatively about the restaurant. So the original glowing review from the critic set the restaurant up for this tremendous growth session. But then once they are just incapable of handling all that extra business, and ultimately quality suffers, then it falls off and they end up in a worse position than when they started. So I've seen that multiple times. And then of course, video games, same way. You get all these people who get early access to a game before it's finished. They get like beta builds, they get all these different things, and then they play the game. Sometimes they're paid to have an opinion, right? They're fake reviews, and they shill the game up, and then the expectations get really high, and then when the game launches, it's full of bugs because all the developers crunched 20-hour days, 7 days a week for 3 months until they're all basically in the hospital dying of exhaustion. And then the game still sucks and it costs $80 and it's got microtransactions because all the corporate shenanigans. And the whole thing is just a giant fucking dumpster fire. The hype didn't really help, did it? No. So again, opinions, man. Y'all don't understand how to process opinions, especially when opinions come from these published sources, when they come from these higher places. God forbid I ever become one of them. I mean, I barely over 800 followers as of this video. So, and God forbid I become one of them, but I am going to constantly tell you guys every single time I have an opinion. If I ever end up with 1 million of anything, I doubt it. 42 years old, the clock is ticking. If I ever end up with 1 million of anything, the first thing I'm going to do is disclaim every single time that my opinions are my own, that I neither recommend you do anything based on my opinion or whatever, that you literally just need to take whatever I say with a grain of salt like you would anyone else. Because then again, I always have a tendency to not overstate my opinion anyway, because I understand what an opinion is, and therefore I know how to give an opinion. I like to think if I'm going to pat my own back or toot my own horn about anything, is I understand how to deliver opinions in a way that keeps the smaller minds, right? The smaller minds among us from whipping into a froth. Because that's the last thing I want to do, is be responsible for someone else's trauma or causing damage to a place or a person, because I deliver an opinion with too much passion, and people who are incapable of filtering that through critical thinking end up doing something stupid and then blaming it on, well, something I said. Me motivating someone else to cause harm somewhere over the dumbest of shit imaginable. And I just don't want to see it. So, and on the other hand, again, it's knowing how to give an opinion. And I just said, if you feel really passionate about something, then you need to put a caveat that you are coming at this from a place of passion, right? You kind of owe it to people to say, yes, I feel strongly about this. You may not feel as strongly as I do, right? You wouldn't think in 2024 you would need to do that. People would have the critical thinking to understand that you're passionate. But unfortunately, we live in, the upper class twit of the year society now, where people don't rub two pennies together until it makes sense. They don't. They act on impulse. We are in this anti-intellectual society now, this post-truth society now. So you kind of have to put the warning labels on shit, because otherwise people will eat the Tide Pods, won't they? They will. They'll eat the Tide Pods. They'll take the cinnamon challenge, right? And you just have to say it. Hey, man, I feel passionate about this, so you need to filter it through that lens when you give an opinion. But just to wrap this up, I don't really want to name drop anybody, but there's one particular person who I feel is neither as good nor as bad as people make them out to be. They just happen to, once again, be someone who very early on got published, has books, has had multiple platforms, including video essays at one point. Now they've got a blog. They go to fragrance conventions, like Accents. They went there. And they're kind of an old name in the community. But people do some really weird stuff when they give an opinion, right? And you've got two extreme opposite ends of the spectrum. On the one end, you've got the people that worship them and take everything they say as gospel, right? Have every edition of every book they've ever printed, subscribe to and or own everything they've ever put out. And it's like, I'm diddly I, I'm diddly A. And that's weird. That's fucking weird. Again, people just don't seem to have critical thinking or self-awareness anymore to realize that they are looking really cultish and superstitious and weird, right? Like this is not This is not a behavior that a person who is, again, I'm not a doctor, I can't diagnose anybody, but a person who is mentally stable and emotionally stable wouldn't have this reaction to someone, right? It's a little bit worrisome. I make jokes about health and wellness checks, about going around your house and knocking on your door and asking if you're okay. It's because some of the stuff I see people do in regards to this person are a bit goofy. And the name I'm going to drop is Luca Turin. He's not in the video. He's not in the comment section because the video is not really about him, but he's a good example. When Luca Turin drops an opinion, right, whether it's through his blog or puts it in a book, okay, or gives an interview at a convention, right, microphone, something, you've got people that either just, and they just cream their underwear at everything he says, or you've got like the angry mob with the pitchforks and the torches at the opposite end that just want to like find him and hunt him down and like pin the scarlet letter to his forehead and do a lot of things to him that I can't mention in this video because it'll probably get YouTube censors coming down on me. But you get what I'm saying. They want to commit unspeakable acts of violence against this man because he likes or dislikes something. So on the one hand, the people who worship him, and then on the other hand, the people who just look at him as the Antichrist. And there's no one in the middle. There's this big no man's land, wasteland in the middle. I think I'm the only person there. Me and like 3 people are there in the middle. We're in the middle, and we go, right? We're like, okay, this molecular biologist guy with insider knowledge of the industry and connections, and he's got a curated taste, and he's got some published books, and his wife says stuff too, and it's like he's entertaining, and individually he's fun to interact with. He's got a personality, right? He seems like an okay guy in general, just an okay guy. But he has some really strong opinions. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Some of them are unfounded in my opinion. But again, see, in my opinion, some of his opinions are unfounded. But I have never read anything or heard anything come from his lips that has made me want to commit unspeakable acts of violence against him. Nor have I heard anything from him that makes me want to have his kids somehow. Biologically impossible, but neither nor do I exist on those ends of that creepy spectrum. And I circle back to the fact that y'all just don't understand what an opinion is. So hopefully after watching this video, you will have learned and maybe you'll behave yourself a little better next time. This has been the Unlist, and thanks for watching.